Daniel Tubbs joined Mirabaud 10 months ago from BlackRock and runs the Mirabaud Equity Global Emerging Market Fund. Daniel, welcome to Geneva.
Thank you.
Daniel, what is your investment universe and what are the fund's objectives?
Well, we have a very broad investment universe in that we can invest in any of the 21 emerging market countries, plus some of the other 25 frontier markets. So it's very, very diverse. In terms of the fund that we manage, the objective of the fund is to outperform the MSCI Emerging Market Index by over 3%. And we do that by running a very concentrated portfolio. So at the moment, we just have 53 stocks in the portfolio.
The MSCI Emerging Markets has vastly overperformed the MSCI World. What are the drivers and what is the current situation?
Right. Well, you're right. Over the past 10 years, the annualized return for emerging markets is about 17%, compared with about 9% for the MSCI Global. And we think that performance has really been driven by the recognition of the better long-term prospects for emerging markets compared with the developed world. What's particularly interesting, though, that year to date, emerging markets have actually underperformed the world index significantly by about 10%. So that, we think, gives us a great opportunity to add to positions in emerging markets.
But the global emerging markets, now represent over 50% of world GDP, and they contribute to growth for about 80%, is that right? Mm-hmm. Where is it going? What are the next steps?
Well, we think that the growth in emerging markets will be driven increasingly by domestic consumption. So you've got an environment where emerging markets typically have very high savings rates and relatively low penetration levels of financial products. So that's a great environment for consumers to go and spend more money in the future. And so domestic consumption will drive that economic growth. And
you have some interesting positions. I'd like you to develop a little bit about those cases. I know that one of your favorite markets is Turkey, and precisely you have a position in Turkey, which I'd like you to comment on.
Right. So we have an investment in a company called Emlak, which is Turkey's largest listed home developer. We think it's a very interesting company. It's 75% owned indirectly by the government, and so they have access to the greatest plots of land in Turkey for development. Now, what's interesting, we think, from a home builder's perspective, is that Turkey lies on a couple of major fault lines, so it's very susceptible to earthquakes. And it's been estimated that around 6 million out of the 19 million residential homes in Turkey are structurally unsafe and therefore need to be redeveloped over the course of the next few years. So that's a great environment if you're the largest listed developer. The company is likely to have a secondary offering soon, and we think that will be a great opportunity for people to add to existing positions in the name.
And then you also have an interesting investment in Taiwan, which I'd like you to tell us about.
Right. Well, we own shares in a company called Hermes Microvision, which is a mid-cap Taiwanese company. What they do is they make machines to identify faults in the microchip manufacturing process. It's a very sort of niche area, but it's an area where they have 85% global market share. And as microchips become smaller and smaller each year, the demand for Hermes Microvision's machines is increasing very rapidly.
And I understand that this position has already brought you quite a bit of profit?
It's been a very, very successful investment for us so far. It's rallied significantly, but we still think there's upside. So we've trimmed our position, but we still hold a position in the company.
Dan, thank you very much for joining us today in Geneva.
Thank you very much for having me.